If there's one thing that most beginner guitarists can agree on, it's that bar chords suck. When I first got into guitar, I remember spending weeks trying to play anything that sounded even close to music. Then there was the sore hands and the throbbing fingertips and just the... I'm getting stressed out just thinking about it. After putting in all that work for just a little bit of progress, I remember coming across my first song that had a bar chord in it. I don't remember what the name of the song was, but I do know it was an F major chord on the first fret, and it was awful. I tried everything to get that chord to ring out, but my guitar was like, "No sir, not me!" Can you relate? Please tell me I'm not alone. Anyway, to make a long story short, I did end up practicing those chords and I did get the hang of it. But I wanted to make this video for those of you who may be struggling with bar chords right now, or maybe you're avoiding them like the plague because they're just too difficult. By the end of this video, you'll be able to walk away with a better understanding of what it takes to play bar chords effectively, and hopefully you'll have that breakthrough you've been waiting on. Let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to take a look at is the setup of your guitar. And two things that have a huge impact on how easy your guitar is to play are string gauge and action. String gauge refers to the thickness of your strings, and lower gauge strings are thinner and easier to play. Action refers to the distance between the strings and the frets when the strings are at rest. A guitar with high action is going to be much harder to play because it requires more force to push down on those strings and get your notes to ring out. So you want to have your action as low as possible without causing buzzing. If you have an acoustic guitar, I definitely recommend taking it to a professional to make these adjustments for you. Even changing something as simple as your string gauge or your action can have effects on the intonation of your guitar, which can make your guitar sound inconsistent as you play up and down the neck. So you definitely want to make sure a professional's handling that. If you have an electric guitar, there are a lot of YouTube videos that will show you how to make these adjustments. So if you're up for that, you can definitely give that a try. If not, it never hurts to take it to a guitar tech as well. Once we have the guitar set up to our liking, we want to make sure our technique is solid. So, just like with any other chord, we want to make sure our fretting hand is as relaxed as possible. So we don't want any strain, we don't want to hurt ourselves or add any more tension than we need to. And really the success of bar chords comes down to really just these two fingers, because it's all about applying even pressure across the fretboard between your thumb and your index finger specifically. And it's going to take some time to build up this muscle here. Okay, so don't worry if it's just very sore and you're not getting the notes to ring out yet. It's going to build up over time, so it just takes daily practice. When you're fretting the chord, just like I said before, you want to focus on your index and your thumb specifically. We just want to have enough pressure to let all the notes ring out clearly, but we don't want to squeeze the life out of the neck of the guitar. Just make sure that your grip is firm. The two problems that you're likely to run into with bar chords are muted strings and buzzing strings. Muted strings have one cause, and that's that something is touching the string and not letting it ring out or vibrate freely. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that for one thing, that you're applying enough pressure to actually fret the chord, because if you don't push it all the way down, you're going to be muting them, right? And then also you want to make sure that none of your other fingers are touching strings they're not supposed to. That's the number one culprit. With buzzing strings, that can be caused by applying either not enough pressure or too much pressure. And what I mean by that is buzzing is basically when there's a little gap between the string and the metal fret. So what happens is when you pluck the string, it smacks into the fret over and over, and that causes that terrible sound that we all hate. So some things to watch out for is you don't want to press too hard, but you want to make sure you press down enough to make contact with the fret. And one other thing that can cause buzzing is if you fret too high up. So what I mean by that is, let's take this third fret for example. So right now my finger's in the middle of the space, we'll say. So if you put your finger too high up or too close to the fret above it, yeah, we don't like that. So what we do is if we keep our finger in the middle, it should be good. Or you could even move it closer towards the bottom. That's still good. But you want to avoid having it too high up. So if you're trying to play bar chords and you're running into either muted strings or buzzing strings, now you know some of the most common causes for that, and you can make adjustments as needed. Alright, so now we've learned the basics of bar chords, as well as how to address the problems that are likely to arise while we're practicing. Now, how do we actually practice? What I would personally recommend is that you just focus on the bar portion. Don't even worry about playing an actual full chord, because we want to give ourselves time to build up this muscle right here. And that's going to take a little bit. So just for instance, what I would do is I would bar across a certain fret, so I'm gonna pick the 3rd fret right now, bar all the way across, and play each string one by one and listen for problems. That sounds pretty good. Sounds okay? Now we got some buzzing and a little bit of muting. So what I'm thinking the issue is I'm not applying enough pressure all the way across. It's really easy to have a good amount of pressure up top on the low E and the A strings, and then for that pressure to kind of like dwindle off and weaken as we get towards the bottom. So we're gonna definitely work on keeping that pressure all the way across the fretboard. And that sounds pretty good. So first, get that bar down, and then what I would do is add in the rest of the chords. So I'll play a full G major bar chord. And some things that I noticed that some people have trouble with is keeping your fingers curled. We want to have a certain amount of curl in our fingers. We don't want to flatten anything out. We want to make sure we're keeping a good position. So sometimes when you're focusing on that bar, the other fingers can get a little bit sloppy. So definitely take your time and make sure everything looks good and feels good as you're practicing. That's a wrap for this week's lesson. I really hope that this video helped you out, and I'm hoping for that breakthrough that you've been waiting on. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you know when a new video is uploaded. And if you're interested in taking more personalized lessons, I do offer private lessons on Zoom, so be sure to check out the description for more details there. And if you're looking for more advice for beginner or intermediate guitarists, you can find that on my Patreon page, and the link will be below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next week, keep practicing, keep growing, and take care.